So you found yourself at Jack's Oxtays and it's time to set up the wood-fired hot tub. Here's a step-by-step guide on how to get it fired up. Firstly, let's take a look at the hot tub itself. This is the insulated cover which keeps in the warmth of the water, so you want to keep it on until it's sitting at the perfect 39 degrees. It comes in a big circle shape which covers the full surface of the tub, and it can be folded in half when you need access to the inside of the hot tub. It's also attached to the hot tub cover lifter, so once it's folded in half, you can use these black handles on either side to lift the cover into an upright position. You'll also find these wee velcro straps attached to the cabin to hold it in place. Inside your tub, you'll find your wee blue thermometer, which you can use to check the temperature of the water. You'll also find our wee team mascot and your favourite bath time buddy, Quack Jack, who'll be there to keep you company in the hot tub. Please don't take him with you when you check out, but we do sell wee ducks, so give us a shout if you want to take a brand new Quack Jack home as a souvenir. You'll also find these two circular openings inside the tub, which naturally circulate the warm water. Once the fire is lit, cold water is sucked in through the bottom opening, heated up by the burning fuel, and warm water is pushed back in through the top opening. Now let's take a look at the tools and fuels we have for the tub. Firstly, and right on cue, you've got your skimmer tool, which you can use to take out any unwanted things which land in your tub, like bits of ash, leaves or insects, which for some reason love the warm water. You've got this paddle here, and because the heat rises to the top of the hot tub, it's good to stir about the water like a big bowl of soup every now and then to distribute the heat. This will also make sure you get the most accurate measurement on your thermometer. You've got this grabber tool, which is used to put kindling, fire lighters and briquettes into the stove. And lastly, you've got a fireproof glove, which protects you from the heat, and apparently if you get into a fist fight. In the storage chest, you'll find a lighter and all the fuel that you need. You've got these eco fire lighters, which are very flammable, and the small bits of kindling. These are used to get the fire going. You've also got your woodlets briquettes, which are the main fuel for heating up your hot tub. Now, let's take a look at the stove. It's very similar to a traditional wood burning stove, with a wee door on the front and a metal grate inside, which is where you'll be making your fire. There's also a metal tray on the underside of the door, which you can use to adjust the airflow coming into the stove. If the stove door and the tray are both totally closed over, there'll be little to no airflow reaching the stove, and it may kill the fire completely. However, if you leave the tray partially open like this, still with the door closed, it will ensure there's a steady airflow coming into the stove through the opening, fueling the fire inside and heating up the water in the tub. This is how we'd recommend leaving the tray and the door for the full time you're heating up the hot tub. Before you light your fire, make sure that the hot tub is filled up to the minimum fill line, and if it isn't, you can top it up with the hose. To start, lay a small handful of kindling, probably about 10 pieces, along the length of the grate. Next, evenly spread 3 fire lighters amongst the kindling. Place another fire lighter into your grabber tool and light it. Use that fire lighter to light the other ones within the stove, and make sure to keep a couple of them to the front of the stove, as this is where the airflow is coming in and it will drag your fire across the kindling. At this point, you should close the door over, open the tray slightly to allow in airflow and give it about 2 minutes to take flame. Once the flame is established, open the stove door, and with the grabber tool, carefully place 1 briquette at a time into the fire until you've added your first 4 briquette pieces. Give these briquettes 20 minutes to take flame, bearing in mind now that the fire is going and the stove has started to heat up, so don't touch any of the hot metal. After the 20-minute mark, it's time to add more logs. Add 4 more briquette pieces to the fire and close the stove door over again. At this point, you'll have added a total of 8 pieces and your hot tub heat up will be off to a flying start. As a general rule, the stove can be about 3/4 filled with briquettes, so you don't want it any more full than this. Ongoing, it's a case of checking your fire every 30 to 45 minutes and adding 4 briquette pieces to the fire each time. The best thing to do is to set an alarm on your phone to remind you to come back and check again. Now, you may not need to add 4 briquettes every time, and you don't want to forcefully load it, because adding too many logs can restrict the air circulation and will slow the burning process. From here, just continue to check on the fire and add logs when required. Every now and then you might want to use the skimmer tool to remove any debris, the paddle to give the water a mix, and the blue thermometer to check the temperature. Once you've got the water to about 30 degrees, you only want a few briquettes burning in the stove at one time and for the water to creep up to temperature. The aim here is for your fire to be almost dying out by the time it reaches 39 degrees on the thermometer, because if you still have a big blazing inferno in there, you'll be at risk of overheating the water. Put it this way, it's always easier to add in a little bit more fuel than to cool down a roasting hot tub. Saying that, if you do overshoot it slightly, you can always add in a little bit of cold water from the hose, or leave the insulated lid off for a while to bring the temperature down. Generally, it takes about 16 to 20 briquettes and about 2.5 to 3 hours to get your hot tub up to a toasty 39 degrees, depending on the temperature outside. But once you've got it to a nice temperature, all that's left to do now is to hop in and enjoy.